Welcome to another episode of Matt Talks Sports. Michael, welcome back. We've got a lot to talk about today.
There's a lot to talk about for sure.
And by the way, we did not get our ranking back.
We didn't.
We are still unranked, but we did get another review or two this week, so keep putting those in. They do help us out, guys. Let's get to these trades, Michael. You got the trade details. There were a couple of deals that went down in the last week.
Yeah, we got Sanu going over to the Patriots from
Mohamed Sanu,
going
receiver
over to
from the Falcons.
Going over to the Patriots from the Falcons for a second-round pick. That's a good price. That's a good price for the Falcons to get for him. Yeah,
that's what I was going to say. I think it's a good deal for the Falcons. I think that's more value than most people expected them to get for him. But also, I don't totally get the move for the Patriots. Like, I mean, I know they needed receiving help, but second-round pick's kind of a lot. And with the Josh Gordon situation, is he an upgrade from Josh Gordon, or is he basically the same level of player? I don't know. Maybe they view him as a good fit for their system.
Yeah, I don't know. Because I have a lot of respect for Josh Gordon's talent, but it hasn't been doing much for New England this year.
Right, which is why I wonder if it was a fit issue.
Yeah.
But still, I mean, second, great value for the Falcons. The person I thought they would go after is the other trade that went down.
For Emmanuel Sanders?
Emmanuel Sanders.
Yeah. And there was a lot of picks for this one. It was a third and a fourth, but they also got a fifth. The Broncos did for sending him over to San Francisco.
Yeah, San Francisco gave up a third and a fourth, got back Sanders and a fifth, which I think that's a pretty great deal on both sides. I mean, that's pretty good.
It's very even.
Yeah. It works out perfectly for the Niners. Personally, I like Emmanuel Sanders better than Sanu, so I think Sanders is the better player out of those two deals. And I think it's going to be good for the Niners. They definitely needed the receiver help even more than New England did.
Yeah, we'll see if it was more on just how he is with age, with his decline in play, versus playing with Joe Flacco and the Broncos.
I mean, he's already had, even just this year alone, he's had a couple of good games. And like you said, Flacco doesn't usually seem to produce great receiving numbers for his guys. So I don't know. I like Emmanuel Sanders a lot. So I think that's a good deal for the Niners.
Well, I expect the Patriots to run a gadget player too with Sanu.
Oh, I'm sure.
He has a rocket arm.
Yeah, so I'm sure Sanu is going to do good things with the Patriots. I think they can make it work with pretty much anything.
And then on the defensive side, we had Garyon Conley from the Raiders over to the Texans, who they play this week for a third-round pick.
That's awkward.
That is a little awkward.
Well, you know more about him than me. What's the review on Conley?
He's looked a little shook this year. Ever since he got hit in the head in the first game by Abrams on that friendly fire hit, where he just like a little bit of a scary hit where they took him out.
He just hasn't been playing well since then.
And the Raiders, they slide into zone coverage sometimes, and that doesn't seem to be his forte. He's more of a man guy. However, it looked like the play that solidified him going away was an out route in man coverage where he was playing off like he was a safety. I don't know what he was doing on that play, but
yeah. Are you talking about this past week with Green Bay?
This past week against the Packers, yeah. It was a interesting play that happened. Like when I saw the play, I thought a safety was on that wide receiver, and he then missed the tackle and they scored.
Yeah,
it's not why they lost the game.
No,
but it was it's not what you want to see from a former first-round pick.
We're going to get to some of the games from Sunday. Let's just talk about that game. I mean, after a game like that, it's understandable to want to trade away your secondary because that was rough. I mean, like I've been saying, the Packers passing game has not been sharp this year. Aaron Rodgers has been playing more like a game manager and just completely turned it up this week and went nuts. Had one of the best games of his career. 5 passing touchdowns and a rushing touchdown. He looked very, very, very good. So as much as you give me crap for being a hater, they were great today or this week.
Yeah, on Sunday.
They looked really, really good. There were still even moments in that game. I mean, you can talk about it even better than me, but at the end of the first half or near the end of the first half, that was when Derek Carr had that diving into the end zone play, which is just boneheaded. I can't stand when I see players diving into the end zone because we've just seen this happen too many times now, where he dives, loses control of the ball, it goes out of the end zone, which is a turnover. So it gives the other team the ball. And he's done this before, right?
He has. He did it a couple years ago.
2017, I think? And I remember hearing comments about it then when people were asking him about the play, and he said he would do it again. given the chance, he'd do it again. And he wasn't lying because he did it again.
He wasn't lying.
But I don't
think he can lie.
Yeah. But I just felt like that. It's crazy to say because of how out of hand it got, but it felt like that swung the game because it was really close at that point. What were they down by 4? I think it was 14-10.
Yeah.
So that would have been for the lead on that touchdown.
It would have been for the lead, for the touchdown. However, later in the game, they got stuffed multiple times on the goal line for a turnover.
Yeah.
And I'm sure John Gruden would have went for it on 4th down there. And it.
Yeah, but the thing that I'm saying though is I think it's a real momentum thing too because that happened at the end of it was like less than 2 minutes left.
Yeah, they didn't get the ball back until it was 28-10.
The Packers immediately drove down the field and scored before halftime, then got the ball and scored again.
Yeah.
So that was like a 21-point swing there from when the Raiders touched the ball to then touching it again.
If they weren't going to stop them anyway, they weren't winning that game. Like
I
just don't think it.
I agree. I think the Packers were definitely the better team. It just felt like the Raiders were driving the ball on them.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a bummer because obviously I wanted the Packers to lose, but if we're just going to cover our teams first, the Vikings. Did you hear the stat about Kirk Cousins?
Yeah,
did you hear how
it.
many players in history have had 3 consecutive games of 300 yards and 130 QB rating?
Oh no, I was thinking of another stat. What?
Okay, do you know how many have done that?
No.
1. In NFL history, Kirk Cousins is the only one to do 3 straight games of 300 plus and 130 QB rating. That seems insane. I would have assumed Breeze, Peyton, Rodgers. I would have assumed they had all done that.
This won't be as narrow, but this is another interesting stat that eventually happened. There have been 7 perfect passer rating games. The Raiders' defense has been part of 3 of them.
Ouch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was Rodgers, Nick Foles. I forgot the third one, but it doesn't matter.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's pretty wild to see how it flipped from 3 weeks ago talking about Kirk Cousins, about how there were some fans who were like, can we cut him? Can we just cut him outright? And now he has the number 1 QB rating in the league right now.
The stat I saw was he has the highest passer rating like in a clean pocket right now. So
yeah. And the other thing, too, is off of play action. So I think in the first 20 games, I'm trying to remember the exact stat, but I think it was over his first 20 games with the Vikings, he had only thrown for 120 play action yards once.
Yeah.
And he's done it 3 straight games now because they're just killing him with the play action. And when you have a running back like we have with Cook, it's always going to be there. That play action is there all day. So they seem to have found what works for Kirk, but we'll see if it lasts. Like we always say with Kirk Cousins, it's a roller coaster. So I'm not getting my hopes up yet, but the last 3 weeks he's played as well as he could possibly play.
Yeah, as well as anyone can ask for.
Yeah. And he's got his return to Washington Thursday night. So they're like a 15-point favorite. So hopefully that one goes smoothly.
It is prime time.
I know. It's prime time. It's Kirk Cousins.
Whole team.
But the Redskins are so bad. They're so bad. So I'm pretty confident, but we did have a game like that against the Bills last year where I think we were like a 14-point favorite and lost and got blown out.
I remember that.
We got blown out by the Bills. I'm not going to be too cocky going into that one. Let's see. What other games? Let's talk about the good games. We already covered the
Ravens Seahawks?
Ravens Seahawks. That was a fun one. Lamar didn't really throw the ball that well. Neither did Russell Wilson. But
I saw what was it, 9 for 20?
Yeah, he just didn't throw a lot.
I saw a couple key drops there. One in the end zone to the tight end. I don't know. I think he played okay.
Yeah, dude.
But if
Mark Andrews, the tight end there, dropped, I think, 3 passes in that game. And that's my fantasy tight end. So I was paying close attention to that. He had an awful game.
Yeah. But Lamar Jackson it's literally like watching a video game. Like I'm watching Madden.
It is. It's wild. And even the other players are saying it now. Like the interviews after the game from the other team, they're just like, I've never seen anything like that in my life. Even on TV, you just don't see people move like that. Like he
changes cleats during the game because he got caught by a linebacker. He's like, can't do it.
Yeah.
Won't let that happen.
Can't have that happen again. But yeah, even in comparison, like we mentioned before that he was like on that Vic tier, he even moves around better than Vic. Like his agility is even better than Vic. He just doesn't have as much top speed, but his quickness and just the little shifty movements he has are just otherworldly. It's insane. And there was a couple of plays where he looked like he was completely caught in the pocket, and they were on third downs too. And he just kind of squirms around, and all of a sudden you blink, and he's 15 yards down the field. It's such a cheat code, and it's a lot of fun.
I'm going to be real interested to see him versus that Patriots defense when they
Me
play.
too, yeah. That's going to be really interesting. I don't think he's fully mastered how to read defenses. I mean, granted, he hasn't even played like a full year yet of football, but I think with his legs, he can just always get himself out of it. Even if he misses an open receiver or gets fooled by a coverage, he's just going to move around and get loose anyway. I don't really know how you contain him. You're going to have to like devote multiple extra pieces to stopping his run. He's on pace to shatter the single season rushing record for a quarterback. I think it's like 1,000 yards, and he's averaging or is on pace for like 1,350. He's on pace to beat it by a few hundred yards.
He'll probably smash that.
He probably will. Yeah. And I don't see him slowing down anytime soon. So I think we talked last week about the MVP race. I think with them at 5-2 now and a win over the Seahawks, he's going to put himself in that mix. And Mahomes dropping out of the race. I mean, he's got to be the top 4.
Well, he's back at practice, so we'll see how long he's out of the race.
That's true. He missed a half of a game so far. We don't want to count anything as a sure thing, but he's expected to miss a few games. But yeah, I think Lamar totally is in that race, and he doesn't have to put up crazy passing numbers because, I mean, you can just watch any one of his games. He jumps out like crazy. Mm-hmm. And on the other side of that game, Russell played probably his worst game of the year.
Yeah, he picked 6 and was it his first interception this year?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and he just didn't look himself. He didn't look as comfortable as he has the last few weeks. Yeah. I'm not worried. I'm sure he'll play fine going forward, but it just wasn't his best day.
And then they had that awful fumble. Not on him.
Yeah.
On Metcalf, right?
Yeah, it was Metcalf when he just was running and fumbled the ball out of his hand.
Came out of his hand.
It just trickled down the sideline. Somehow that ball didn't roll out. I kept watching the ball thinking like, oh, that's definitely going out. And it just kept tumbling down the sideline. Yeah, so that was a big win for the Ravens. Like we were saying last week too, the race in the AFC. We'll have to talk about them
probably for that second seed now. I know we were thinking the South, but
that's what I want to get into next.
The Seahawks,
and they're now 5-2, and that division looks weaker than we ever expected it to be. So those division games are going to be a cakewalk for them.
We say that, but
no, of course, division games are always challenging, and you're right, they did. So we shouldn't say that, but they look pretty strong right now. The AFC South, the Colts and Texans played.
Yeah,
we hyped up the Texans a lot last week. And then Gerardo was trying to say there is no chance that the Colts could win the division without Andrew Luck. And we both jumped in and told him to pump the brakes on that because the Colts are legit.
The Colts are a good team.
And they proved it. They definitely outplayed the Texans. They took first place after that game, and their schedule is the thing I wanted to bring up to you. I don't know if you've looked ahead at that.
No, not at all.
So the Colts are now 4-2. Which props to them, props to Frank Reich. Like I was saying last week, nobody had them at 4-2 after they lost Andrew Luck. So their next 4 games before the next matchup with the Texans, they've got Broncos, Steelers, Dolphins, and Jags. They could be 8-2. Like all 4 of those games are going to be favored. They could be 8-2 going into the next Texans matchup. That's insane.
Have you looked at the Texans games at all?
Theirs were tougher. They have, I don't know if it was in the next 4, but they play Baltimore. They play the Patriots. They play, I can't remember who else, but there was another tough game. So I think the Colts could build a little bit of a lead here in the next 4 weeks before playing the Texans again. And clearly they match up well with the Texans. So, and then looking beyond that, they play the Texans then in that 5th game, then Titans and Bucks. Are the Colts an 11-win team? Looking at that schedule, it's kind of crazy, right? Like they are probably going to win like 10 or 11 games if they don't fall apart. And I mean, that's another topic I wanted to bring up with you specifically.
Okay.
Because a lot of people are using the narrative on like the 49ers and the Patriots that they haven't played anybody. And that's a very common thing.
The Colts have played people.
No. I'm talking about their upcoming schedule. Their upcoming schedule being easy, and they've got a lot of easy games coming up. I'm getting kind of annoyed by that narrative just with teams around the league about how like you haven't played anybody, therefore it invalidates your wins. Do you know right now how many teams are at or below 500? 18. 18 teams in the NFL. Over half of the league are at or below 500. So, I mean, there's only a certain amount of teams that would be qualified as a good win, quote unquote.
Sure, but we're talking about if they had beaten. So if we're talking,
and there's
about,
only a handful that are exactly at 500.
If we're talking about the Niners, if they had beaten teams that are now 500, they'd have won a game or two. Then they would be considered better wins.
So here's the thing. Think of it this way. If you throw out all of these wins that you say are not quality wins, and you only take the quality wins, you end up with every team at the end of the year being like 2-1 or 1-2, and you get these such small sample sizes that I don't feel you can really gauge them that well. Because like if you match up two good teams, it's a coin toss. So say you go 1-2 against good teams, that doesn't invalidate your whole season when you beat like 7 bad teams because you did what you were supposed to do in those games.
Sure, absolutely. But I'm not like I'm just not. I just can't put the Niners ahead of the Saints.
The Patriots. The Patriots have played absolutely nobody, and I can definitively tell you the Patriots are a great team.
Sure, but
and not using previous experience, just using this season. I don't feel like playing lesser competition invalidates your wins. And I think that's being thrown around way too much this season.
It doesn't invalidate it, but when you're putting them up against... So when I look at the Patriots, I do look at their history and what they've done for the last 20 years. But when it comes to the Niners, there isn't the past history, so you want to see them play X, Y, and Z. But the Patriots do have teams also coming up, like the Texans and things like that. The Ravens on their schedule.
I think every team gets tested. I just don't think you can only grade a team based on versus good teams. I think the whole season is encompassing all of that.
That's not what I'm doing. I'm saying I'm not.
It's not just you, for the record. I'm just saying this is a narrative that's going on all across.
But in
sports
our conversation
media.
here, I'm just can't put them ahead of the Saints who have been tested.
No, that's totally fine. I'm not saying that at all. I'm not saying you have to rank them because they're 6-0. I don't feel that way at all because I think record is very deceiving. Yeah. So when you're ranking teams, you can totally do it that way.
I'm taking the Saints over them.
Yeah.
I'm taking.
Yeah. I don't mean that to get misconstrued because I'm not saying you have to rank them based on record. I don't feel that way at all. I'm just saying I think too many people like in the media are just discrediting wins all over the place, not just Niners and Patriots, but they're just like, yeah, this team's 4-2, but they haven't really played anyone yet. Like when you get 6, 7, now 8 weeks into the season, like these, you can only play who's on your schedule. You kind of have to just admit like, well, yeah, but if they beat all the teams they're supposed to beat, that means they're a good team.
Yeah, they're doing what they're supposed to do.
Yeah. I don't know. That's just been a pet peeve of mine because I keep hearing it on like every football podcast, and it just irks me. Like if you've got 18 teams in the league that are at or below 500, you kind of are going to play a lot of those teams every week. Anyway, let's move on. Let's move past that. Speaking of the Patriots, though, that Monday night game, should we touch on that at all? It was another ugly one. I think it ended up, final score was 33-0.
Yeah, it was pretty rough.
I've got some fun stats from the Patriots that have been going around lately. I don't know if you've seen them.
Nothing.
There's one stat about their defense that while their defense is on the field, so if you only count the plays where their D is on the field, they've outscored the opposition 20-18. Just their defense. Their defense has scored 20 points and only allowed 18 to opposing offenses. Point differential? Yeah. Their defense does.
That's wild.
And then there was another stat that said if the Patriots offense never took the field this entire year, if you took away all of their offensive points, they'd be 3-3-1. That's just showing how insanely dominant their defense has been. Their defense has been just wild.
I'll give the Niners some credit. So we're talking about defense.
Yeah,
they have a 50% rate of a 3-and-out on their defense, which is an insane stat.
Oh, I saw that stat too, ranking the 3-and-out teams. Mm-hmm. God, the Niners.
Yeah,
that they just crush teams. They suffocate them. That D line has been playing so good.
First round picks.
Yeah,
all of them.
Yeah, that D line is amazing. That's why I keep saying, like, even if you play bad competition, you can see talent and you can see teams doing their job. The Niners and Patriots are just doing it at a very, very high level on defense. And both, I would say, haven't gotten much from their passing games. Like Brady, that was another stat I wrote down.
That's why they both traded for wideouts.
No, you're exactly right. Their passing games have been shaky. Brady has 4 passing touchdowns over his last 4 games. Oof. He's averaging 1 per game, and he's thrown a pick in all 4 of those games. So It's not a very dominant Brady season.
No.
I'm not going to be one of those people that says he's washed up or regressing. I just think they haven't needed it. They haven't really needed anything, as I just said from those defense stats.
Yeah.
They haven't needed anything out of their offense. I'm not really concerned about it, but it's just been kind of an odd Patriots season. Let's see. What's another good one that happened this week? Bears-Saints. That was a beatdown.
It was. They started off with the kickoff return, which did you watch?
The camera angle?
Yeah, that was awesome.
That was so cool, man. I've never seen them do I've seen them do that camera style before, but never on such a long play.
Yeah.
And so it was cool to see it twist and wind and follow them down the field. That was really cool. But I think they're probably now going to try to pull stuff like that too often, and we're going to get super annoyed with it.
Yeah.
It was cool that one time, but yeah, that game was a bit of a mess for the Bears. I don't know exactly how to go to that conversation, but Trubisky
has got to go.
He does have to go. What do they do though? What do they do this year?
Oh, this year is unfortunately it's done.
I think so too.
There's too many teams with too many wins.
Yeah. And they were a Super Bowl contender coming into the year for most people's expectations.
Unless Carolina's really done with Cam Newton.
That's the thing, is a lot of people are trying to stir up rumors of who they're going to get, like Andy Dalton or Matt Ryan or, like you said, Cam Newton.
Oh, it has to be bigger than Andy Dalton. Probably has to be bigger.
No, I think if they got Andy Dalton, that's a humongous upgrade.
Sure, I think it's a huge upgrade. I just don't think it's enough to pile on the wins they need to pile on.
I just don't think I don't think it's that easy to trade for a quarterback.
No, absolutely not.
And I think it's tough to get your offense implemented midseason. I just think there's no way they're going to trade midseason for. Well, I shouldn't say no way, but I would be very surprised if they traded for a quarterback, because you're one, like I just said, having to struggle to get them up to speed and get them in, and also win enough games.
Yeah,
and
but your
also
quarterback now isn't up to speed, so what does
that's
it matter?
true.
Yeah.
That's totally true. But also the other thing is compensation.
Sure.
So I think to trade for a quarterback at a starting caliber level like those guys, you're going to have to give up a ton on top of what you already gave up for Trubisky. It's tough to overcome. They've already invested a lot. Didn't they trade up to get Trubisky? I believe they did. And so
Deshaun Watson says live with the consequences.
Deshaun Watson and Pat Mahomes in that first round.
Well, Deshaun Watson had the comments.
Yeah.
Live with the consequences.
Yeah.
They would kill to have him right now. I'm pretty sure.
How heartbreaking for Bears fans that they got that guy out of that fans, QB class.
Absolutely depressing, but for the front office, it's what they deserve.
Yeah. Yeah, and I don't know what, even in the moment, that pick was kind of being mocked because he was a nobody. Like, he wasn't a relevant college passer like those other guys were. He played at North Carolina, which doesn't really do anything at college football.
How much you think Fitzpatrick would cost them? I'm looking at a list right now of quarterbacks.
I don't know. I'm not really sure. I mean, the Dolphins are open. They're open for business, so you would have to think they'd be willing to trade him, and I think that's an upgrade. Fitzpatrick's always a spark plug. You bring him in, and he's going to dominate for a few games, and then he'll be terrible, but they're already terrible, so it's an upgrade.
A spark for that team might mean a lot.
It might, yeah. I think that's not a bad call. I think the problem is I don't think their front office, or really any front office, wants to admit failure on a quarterback that quickly. Like, it's very clearly a failure, but I don't think they're ready to admit that. I think too much of what they do, there's too much investment in Trubisky that they're going to at least ride it out the rest of this season. I think we both agree he's got to be gone in the offseason, but I don't think you can do it midseason. I don't see it. Fitzpatrick is kind of the right balance, though. I think that's the right spot where it's like a veteran guy who's not going to cost too much, but also could help.
Oh, for the Bears?
Yeah, I'm saying that's right around the right target, but honestly, I don't think they do anything. I don't think they go after a quarterback. And if so, Chase Daniel. Don't you think Chase Daniel's probably on that Fitzpatrick tier? Like, they're not far off from each other.
I think in maybe leadership qualities, yeah. And I think
Chase Daniel seems pretty respected league-wide. But Fitzpatrick's so lovable.
Yeah.
He has a beard.
Yeah, and he came out that time in Deshaun Jackson's outfit. It was great.
That was good. Looking like Conor McGregor.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't think they're going to make any deals. We've spent too much time on the Bears already.
First-round pick for Teddy Bridgewater?
No. I think the Saints I mean, that's a separate conversation, but I think the Saints are set with Teddy. I think when Breeze, what does Breeze have 2 more years?
I thought you were saying something else.
No. I'm not saying he's going to take Breeze's spot, but I'm saying Breeze might only have 2 years left. Maybe Teddy's just going to ride it out with them. He clearly seems to love the organization if he stayed there.
So the 2 backups that played well, we have him and we have Carolina Allen.
Kyle Allen.
Yeah.
Carolina Allen.
Oh, Carolina Allen.
Yep. That's a tough one because I think they're going to wait and see on Cam's health. I don't think
we got to the 29th, so we got about.
I don't think they deal. I don't think there's any chance they deal him because they're going to want to wait and see this season because they're in too good of a spot. I think Carolina's going to ride it out because if Cam comes back or can't come back, they're going to need Kyle Allen this year for a playoff run. So I don't see them doing any deals with him. But in the offseason, if Cam gets right, I think they could totally shop Kyle Allen. Nick Foles in Jacksonville. Foles or Minshew.
When's he eligible to come back? Is he coming back this year at all or no?
Who?
Foles.
Yeah, he can come back this year. I don't think any of those deals happen. I really don't. I don't want to spend too much time on the trade speculation because I just don't think it's realistic at all. But let's talk about the other side of that game, the Saints.
Mm-hmm.
They look like we could be talking about best team in the league.
Yeah.
They look so well-rounded.
I'm just so ready for their hearts to be broken again.
Yeah.
By something
gonna
crazy.
Happen. It's going to happen in the playoffs. They had 2 of the most heartbreaking losses.
Can you imagine if they have a pass interference that's not overturned?
Oh, no. That can't happen to them. That's the one team it can't happen to. I think the league will be all over that one. If they get into the playoffs, they're going to get all the referees are going to get a talking to and say, "Hey, you can't screw these guys again.
I don't want these DBs touching any Saints receiver ever."
Yeah, we don't need any lawsuits. We don't need anything from the Saints. But yeah, they look really, really, really good. And they did this. Teddy had another great game this week.
Yeah.
He's really
without
like
Jared Cook.
Yeah, no Jared Cook and no Kamara.
Yep, no. Yeah.
So 2 of the best weapons on that offense were out, and they didn't even matter. The offense was great. So I think Teddy's done everything he could be asked of, and that's what I don't know. I don't want to go into a full conversation about it, but does he stay there long term?
I think so.
Or do you think he's done enough now to prove that he can get a starting job somewhere else?
Well, he can get a starting job in a lot of places right now.
Well, it sounded like the only team that he really had a surefire starting job was Miami. And so maybe he just knew Miami was kind of a dumpster fire.
Oh, well, no, yeah, sure. Before,
but I'm saying
for this, yeah.
This offseason.
But now.
I don't know.
100%. Not anywhere, but, anywhere.
No, of course. Yeah, a team that needs a quarterback.
Yeah.
He's played really, really well. It's been great.
He would start for the Bears. He would start.
Absolutely. All these bottom tier teams.
There's another team. I'll just keep quiet for a little bit.
Were you going to say the Vikings?
No.
Okay. Because Vikings fans, anytime Teddy has a good game, he shows up in every thread. Everybody wants to talk about Teddy. Minnesota has not moved on. Well, the problem is that in Minnesota, it was very divisive. So a lot of the Minnesota beat writers were either Team Teddy or Teddy's not good enough and we can't depend on him. After that leg injury, they were like, yeah, he's not that good anyway. Let's not wait around for him. And there was a lot of people who thought that's our franchise quarterback that we lucked into. We need to do everything we can for him. So the ones who were anti-Teddy are getting a lot of spam lately. All right, let's get to a little preview for the upcoming week's games. It's not a good slate. I know we're both looking over it right now.
Oh, here we go. Here's the test.
You found a good one?
Niners and Panthers.
Yes, that's what I was going to say. That is definitely the best game of the week.
Well, we also got Packers and Chiefs, depending.
So that's the thing. Packers-Chiefs was going to be an amazing game.
He's at practice.
Mahomes is not playing this week. That's not happening. He can be at practice. I'm sure he wants to be at practice, but he's not playing.
He's been healing pretty quickly from a lot of these
He's not playing.
They're just gonna Stone Cold Steve Austin brace his knee and
he's gonna come with the huge Austin knee braces. No, so that one would have been game of the week. It's the Sunday night game too, and it looked so good. It's 6-1 Packers, 5-2 Chiefs, but with Matt Moore at quarterback, I don't know. I don't think that's as fun. So I'm definitely saying Niners-Panthers. That's going to be a really fun game.
Christian McCaffrey versus that defensive
line.
line.
That defense, that'll be a fun test for them. But that's the thing. So, like, even if the Niners play this game and lose, you know already everyone's going to come out and say, see, the Niners were frauds. They couldn't beat the Panthers. They're frauds.
They can lose this game, and
I'd still the Panthers are a very, very, very good team. I'm excited.
They were, I was picking them or the Saints go to the Super Bowl this year.
Yeah, we were both really high on them, assuming Cam was healthy, and they've been great even without Cam.
But, McCaffrey's been playing out of his mind.
Yeah, we didn't foresee him going to even another level from last year's greatness. That's going to be a really fun one. I don't think I'm going to put that one in my picks, though, because I don't think I'm confident enough either way on that. But we'll get to our picks later. Pretty terrible slate of games. We got, let's see, Chargers-Bears maybe could have playoff implications for the Bears if they get back into it. Eagles-Bills.
They don't get back into it unless they get a new quarterback. So.
Yeah. Eagles-Bills, I mean, that could be. The Eagles, I keep thinking the Eagles are talented enough that they're going to get it right, but they looked terrible again this week.
Poor Carson Wentz, man.
The Patriots play the Browns, which early in the year we would have thought would be exciting with all the Browns hype.
Back to the Eagles.
Okay.
Is Lane Johnson just the loudest offensive lineman of all time?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
He really annoys me.
He talks a lot.
That was all. Because it was this week. It's every year with him.
Yeah. It's always something.
Yeah.
You know what? Shout out to the Cardinals. We didn't mention them. They've won 3 straight games, and Kyler Murray is getting to that point where he's on that tier of like the must-see quarterbacks.
Yeah.
He had a throw in the game. I think it was actually last week's game, but I was watching a GIF. I think the Ringer posted a thread or a thing like listing off the most logic-defying throws. He had one where he's circling back, like dodging a pass rush. So he drops back like 15 yards and on the move just stops on a dime, plants his feet, and throws a laser over the middle of the field. And it was so crazy. Like he's running, sprinting, and then stop and throw a perfect dart with full velocity. He's doing some really good things. And I don't think there's anybody who's ever looked smaller on the field.
He does.
He looks so tiny. He looks like a child playing out there, but he's killing it. He's playing pretty well the last few weeks. Really all season he's been playing well. The problem was just that the touchdowns weren't there. But he's been throwing a lot and playing pretty well for a rookie.
Yeah, he just has to play the Saints now.
That's what I was getting to is, so I was thinking that might actually be a more fun game than people are giving it credit, just based on how well the Cardinals have been playing.
A lot of these spreads are pretty big.
They are. Yeah, it's a bad week of games, so forgive me for trying to find hype where I can find it. Raiders-Texans, one of the
playoff implication games.
Yeah, one of the more evenly matched games. I'm kind of surprised that one's a 7-point spread. I don't think they're that far apart. But
it's in Houston.
And probably the beatdown that the Raiders took this week is influencing people.
The defense isn't looking, like they can stop and nosebleed.
That's true. Yeah. Big Deshaun Watson day, you think?
Probably,
And the Will Fuller injury hurts.
Yeah.
That one sucks. So a lot of that's going to fall on Stills and Kiki QT now. So I don't know if that'll be the same level of production that Fuller's been putting out.
I look for the Raiders just to keep them off the field with Jacobs.
Yeah, that's going to be their only chance because that offense can get hot. But yeah, I'm not really seeing any other exciting ones. Rams play the 0-7 Bengals, so have fun with that one. I will probably watch none of that game. And another one like that, Seahawks-Falcons.
Oh, like I was saying, Dolphins-Steelers.
Oh, God, yeah. That's the Monday night game.
Yeah, Monday night game.
Dolphins-Steelers. How embarrassing.
If the Dolphins pick this win up, it'll help their draft capital because it'll make sure Steelers have one more loss on their record.
That's true. You were talking about that earlier. So they have the Steelers' first-round pick. I don't think we need to put that much research into the Steelers-Dolphins game. That's going to be a horrible one. It's the rare Monday night game that, maybe just skip it if you got something else to do.
Like this week's.
Yeah. If you got something else to do, maybe just figure it out. Watch a movie. Go out. Have some dinner or something. So let's get to picks. Now that we've covered how bad of a slate it is this week, where do you find value in these spreads? I think the lowest spread game, so what Vegas would determine as the closest matchup, is actually Bucks-Titans.
It's actually what I'm looking at is Buffalo and Philadelphia.
Yeah. You're right. I see that one as 1.5.
Yeah. Probably going to take the Colts over the Broncos. Got 5.5 here.
Probably, or is that we're locking that down?
We'll lock it down. Yeah.
Okay. Oh, by the way, before we get into your picks, let me toot my own horn. Last week, I went 4-0 again, which now puts me at 11-1 in this picks game. And not only that, I doubled down on that Cowboys-Eagles game that we were arguing about, and I said the Cowboys would win by at least 2 scores, and they did. Do I get any credit for that?
No.
What? That was a great prediction. Don't shrug. That was a great prediction. You picked the Eagles.
Yeah.
And I predicted a 2-touchdown victory.
You won the prediction. It
was a great prediction, is all I'm saying. I'm 11-1 in these picks. Hashtag Matt's Moneymakers. I'm out here making the people money. Didn't bet any of those games on my own, so I'm losing out on my own money. All right, first one I'm going to take. I guess we're going back and forth this week. I'm going to take the Titans over the Bucks. Titans minus 2.5. I really like the way their offense looked with Tannehill this week. I think they looked a lot better. The whole offense seemed to click better. Mariota wasn't moving the ball whatsoever, and Tannehill looked a lot better. I don't think he's great, but I think he's an improvement. And I just liked the way they played this week. So I'm going to take the Titans minus 2.5.
I'll take the Packers over the Chiefs. Got 4 points. This is real close if Mahomes isn't going to be playing.
That seems like a crazy spread. Why is it only 4 points?
Because he's going to play and I'm going to be
Well, also the Chiefs won. On Thursday, he got hurt. And what was that, the first quarter? And they still won the game.
Sure, but it's the Broncos.
It is the Broncos. Maybe the Broncos are just terrible.
Let me down. Give me Von Miller, please. Just
give me
to the Raiders.
The Dolphins plus 14 on Monday night.
Okay.
This Steelers team is 2-4.
14 points.
They're 2-4. How are they a 14-point favorite? Give me the Dolphins.
Okay.
Now I have something to root for on Monday night.
Yeah, that game will be close. Cancel your dinner plans, please.
Yeah, my dinner plans are canceled. I'm getting delivery. I'm all in on that game. Bet the house. Dolphins plus 14.
I'll take the Bills. It's 1.5 points. I think they'll win in, by more than 1 point, which means it's a safe bet. Very, very not safe, but
yeah, I'm so torn on that game because I think that I like the Bills a lot. I think the Bills are actually a good team. But I feel like the Eagles are going to get that one. I don't know why. I just kind of have a hunch. Like the Eagles are going to keep hovering around 500. And they're 3-4 right now, and I just feel like they're due for one of those games that's going to fool us into thinking they're back when they're not actually back. And the other thing, too, is their biggest problem is that secondary. It's just getting lit up by everybody. And I don't know that I trust Josh Allen to take advantage of it.
The reason they lost so because they had 2 turnovers immediately to start the Dallas game.
Yeah, that one hurt them. I'm talking about the whole season. The biggest problem's been their secondary. But, yeah, this time was the turnovers. I'm taking Eagles plus 1.5 against the Bills.
I'll take the Panthers coming off their bye for 5.5 points underdog against the San Francisco 49ers. Show me what you got, Niners.
I don't think it's a bad pick because I think that spread's a little higher than I would have expected it to be. I think they're really evenly matched. So like 3 or 4 seems like a more reasonable spread. So yeah, 5.5 points is kind of nice. I don't blame you for that one. Colts minus 5.5 against the Broncos. I'm going to take that one.
Nah, I took that one.
I know.
That's not a bad one. You're supposed to.
I'm sorry. I got to have at least one win in the mix. I'm taking some weird ones.
All right.
There's no rule that we have to pick different games.
No, but I need to make up a lot of ground.
Oh. No, this is by far the least confident that I've felt in any of these weeks. We're going to wrap it up there. Next week, we do have plans to do like a mid-season type of award thing. We'll do some MVP, Coach of the Year, Rookie of the Year, Defensive Player of the Year. Maybe make up some awards. Who knows? We'll get weird with it.
Yeah. Favorite player,
Khalil Mack. We already know, Michael. You don't have to show up for next week's show.
Hey, I mean, if Josh Jacobs, he's playing like he's playing.
Oh, no.
Khalil Mack.
New favorite player.
Yeah.
We'll see if he pops up on the awards. We do have a Rookie of the Year. We can debate that next week. We'll see you guys then. Thank you, Michael.
It was fun. Looking forward to next week with these awards coming up.
We'll see you guys then.